Today, the Blazers play an early game in Toronto. They tip off at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is the game preview for that game. I dropped a video yesterday describing some of the Portland Trail Blazers' fourth quarter struggles, including some shocking stats to just really blow your mind if you haven't been paying enough attention. So definitely go check out that video if you haven't already. It's a ramble style video, about 26 minutes for you guys to enjoy. We'll have the post-game show live at approximately 3 p.m. Pacific time, right in the middle of your Sunday. I'll be watching football and this Raptors game. Hopefully the Blazers can take care of business. And of course, this game preview is presented by BetOnline. You can use the promo code BELIEVE to receive 50% rewards on BetOnline. That's BLEAV. I will have a parlay pick, a spread pick, and an over-under pick later on in this video. With that being said, let's jump into the game preview. Toronto has struggled mightily this season, as their every player over 6'8" experiment hasn't really worked out. Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby are having career years, but second-year player Scottie has not taken the sophomore step that many people expected. Instead, it's been a sophomore slump. And with the Raptors' struggles, they could be a major seller at the NBA trade deadline, and they include some players that Portland Trail Blazers fans have long wanted, most notably OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam. Today will be a chance to get to see both these players, as both of them will suit up, and it's a chance to see a Raptors team that is struggling. Let's take a look at the metrics. The Raptors are 16-23 on the season, but just like the Blazers, they've lost 7 out of their last 10 games. They've played many more home games than the Blazers. They've played 21 of them, only 18 games on the road. The Blazers so far have had a road-heavy schedule. This is the first of 2 matchups between these two teams. They will play for the second and final time 3 weeks from now on January 28th. The Blazers rank better than the Raptors in both offensive and defensive rating, and would you look at that, despite the Blazers' massive struggles and many people jumping off the bandwagon, they are in the bottom 10 in defense. This is a much different season for your Portland Trail Blazers than seasons past. That defensive rating has been climbing, that offensive rating has been falling. My video that I dropped yesterday explains that disparity, but the Blazers are 14th in net rating, Raptors 17th. Both of these teams play a slowed down pace, and despite the Raptors having much more size, the Blazers actually have a better rebound percentage than them. The Raptors ranked 4th in assist-to-turnover ratio. However, I will break down that number a little bit. The Blazers are on the other end, ranking 25th. The Blazers have a good shot profile. They get to the rim the 8th most out of any other team, they shoot the 5th fewest mid-range shots, the 12th most threes, and get to the free throw line the 4th most out of any team in the league. Meanwhile, the Raptors have a far worse shot profile, and that's because they shoot a lot more mid-range shots than the Blazers. Analytically, getting shots at the rim and behind the three-point line are the best shots possible, but the Raptors settle for a lot of mid-range stuff. Their percentage on mid-range shots is also horrible, as they rank 29th there, and they rank dead last in three-point percentage at 30th. The Raptors are the worst shooting team in the entire NBA. Meanwhile, the Blazers have an advantage behind the three-point arc, and while you would expect the Raptors to be better finishing at the rim, given they're built to be more of an interior team, they're not great there either, only ranking 14th. They have the second worst true shooting percentage of any team in the league, while the Blazers are ranked 10th, and that's why the Raptors have struggled this season. Their offense has just been plain bad. Here's some miscellaneous offensive numbers for the Raptors. They have had a hard strength of schedule for their offense, and they do get a lot of offensive rebounds. They're also the best team in the league in not turning the ball over. They rank 1st there, but that's due to them not moving the ball too well, ranking only 24th in assist percentage. That assist to turnover ratio looks good on that earlier slide that I shared, but that's simply because the Raptors don't really move the ball well enough. Pascal Siakam will isolate a lot. Trent Jr. isn't somebody that passes the ball much. We know that from his previous stint in Portland. And the Raptors are just an ugly offensive team. But how do they fare defensively? Let's take a look at their defensive shot distribution. The Raptors don't force teams to shoot many mid-range shots, they give up a lot of threes, and they also let teams get to the rim quite a bit. Although they're not as bad as Portland is the worst team in the league now in terms of preventing teams getting to the rim. However, the Blazers are good at running teams off the three-point line, so it's going to be interesting to see with this Raptors team that sucks at shooting threes if Portland closes out too hard and runs them off the three-point line, because that's not the best idea. You don't want to let this Raptors team get to the rim with the length that they have. That's where they might have a chance at some offensive success. You can live with a lot of guys on this Raptors team shooting threes. Here's the shot defense for Toronto. They don't defend any range well whatsoever. Meanwhile, for Portland, they're average defending at the rim, average defending the three-point line, and they're actually quite good at defending opponent mid-range shots, although they don't force many. And the Blazers actually rank 14th in adjusted defensive rating. You can make the case that the Blazers are a slightly above average defensive team. Adjusted defensive rating takes into account strength of schedule, and the Blazers defense has had a tough one. They've faced a ton of good offenses. 14th adjusted defensive rating. That's absolutely crazy. The Blazers have a slight edge in defensive rebound percentage, and the Raptors do force opponents to turn over the ball a lot. Given their offensive struggles, many expected the Raptors to be a really good defensive team with Siakam, Scottie Barnes, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr. That is their starting lineup, but they've only been average there. Portland actually grades out better. A big area of struggle for the Raptors, too, is their bench, which ranks dead last in offensive rating in the last 10 games. I don't know why the O rating and D rating is in the 40s and 50s. Reese put together these stats for me. I just plug them into the graphics, so I'll ask him for more context on these. But this is something we'll be looking at in future preview videos. Both these benches suck. The Blazers in the last 10 games, their bench has the second to worst net rating. That's no surprise. We've lamented our bench struggles numerous times on post-game shows, and the Blazers bench I expect to struggle against a Raptors bench that can defend really well. This bench battle looks like it's going to be extremely low scoring, so if Anthony Simons or somebody playing with the Raptors bench is able to get going, that could be a massive difference in this game. Anyway, those are the metrics in advanced stats. Let's look at the last 10 games for the Raptors. As I said, they've only won 3 out of their last 10. They have lost 3 in a row against the Knicks, Bucks, and Pacers, and they've played a lot of home games that they've lost. Their only win in the last 6 games was against the Phoenix Suns, who are reeling right now and have been playing terrible basketball. And these struggles have been despite the fact that Gary Trent Jr. has been on fire his last 10 games, averaging 22 points per game, 3 rebounds, and almost 2 assists, while shooting 73% from the rim, 48% from mid-range, and 43% from 3, for a true shooting percentage of 63%. The former Blazer has been on a heater, but it hasn't made much of a difference for the Raptors. Part of that reason, as I said, is their bad bench, which has also been struggling to grab defensive boards on top of their offensive struggles. Their bench ranks second to last in the NBA in the last 10 games in terms of grabbing defensive rebounds, so the Blazers should have an opportunity to crash the offensive glass. It could be a big Drew Eubanks rebound game, or maybe Jabari Walker, who's been getting some time lately and had 4 offensive rebounds in his last game. For a Blazers bench lineup that struggles offensively going up against a Raptors bench unit that can play some defense, the offensive glass for the bench unit is going to be huge in this game. Now let's take a look at the injury report for this one for the Blazers. Nasir Little is out with that hip issue. Hopefully he can come back in the next couple of weeks. Justice Winslow is still out with a sprained ankle, and Ibu Baji is not with the team. Probable for the Blazers is Yusuf Nurkic, who's been dealing with an illness and a bit under the weather, and Gary Payton II. It looks like he's going to play his second game today for the Portland Trail Blazers after spraining his ankle in his Blazers debut against Detroit. For the Raptors, they're quite healthy. Otto Porter Jr. has missed a ton of time with a toe issue, and Delano Banton and Ron Harper are both in the G League. I don't know if they're going to be called up or if they've been called up, so I listed them both as questionable, but even if both of them are at the NBA level, I don't expect either one to play. Now let's take a look at some other key Raptors players. Pascal Siakam has been absolutely amazing this year. He's averaging almost 26 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, while shooting 47% from the field, including including 51% from 2 and 33% from 3. He's been playing at a borderline superstar level for the Raptors, and if they decide to go young given their struggles this season, he will probably be the biggest name on the trade market. He's been starting as center for them, and that's a matchup nightmare for opposing centers. Jusuf Nurkic might have his work cut out for him, or maybe the Blazers elect to put Nurkic on a Scottie Barnes and put Jeremy Grant on a Pascal Siakam. Either way, this is not an easy defensive matchup for Jusuf Nurkic. As far as some Siakam stats, he ranks 11th in Basketball Index's finishing metric. You can't let him get to the rim. The Blazers have struggled keeping stars away from the rim. Siakam ranks 18th in playmaking talent and 20th in one-on-one talent. He also ranks 11th in mid-range pull-up talent. This dude is a well-rounded player. He hits mid-range shots, he gets to the rim and finishes, he makes plays for others, he can knock down threes, he can isolate guys. There's really no area that Pascal Siakam struggles in offensively. He's extremely well-rounded, so the Blazers are going to have their work cut out for them. They haven't done a good job defending stars this year. It'll be interesting to see how Siakam does against the Blazers defense, which is better than people realize. Meanwhile, OG Anunoby is the second most impactful defender in defensive EPM. If all defensive teams came out right now, OG Anunoby would probably be on the first team. There's a reason why a lot of Blazer fans want him. He's a very good transition defender, defends one-on-one, can defend in the post, can defend 4, even 5 positions against some centers. And then on the offensive end, he makes things happen. He drives to score. He ranks in the top 15% in rim shot creation, and he's a very physical driver. He's basically a guy that can get to the rim, but he's not the best finisher there, only ranks in the 29th percentile in rim shot making. Meanwhile, he shoots a shade under 35% from 3, but is getting phenomenal looks. His shot quality from behind the arc is in the top 8%, but OG Anunoby is a guy that can really give guards fits. He's a guy that you can put on the best opposing player, and with how Damian Lillard has struggled lately, OG Anunoby is going to be a tough matchup for him. OG Anunoby is a guy that Dame is fond of. It'll be interesting to see if Dame can break his slump against one of the best defenders in the league. Meanwhile, a big part of the Raptors' struggles have been due to Fred VanVleet having a down year, as he's only shooting 32.5% from 3. Meanwhile, he's still shooting 9 attempts per game from there. He's not getting quality threes, ranking 16th in three-point shot quality. Meanwhile, he's regressed a bit defensively. He was a phenomenal defensive player last year, but now he's just decent. His on-ball defense was ranked in the 86th percentile last year. It's now 76th, and he was ranked in the top 8% in terms of ball screen navigation. Now he's just average. Anyway, those are some interesting stats about some key players for the Raptors. I like pointing these out because it can allow you guys to potentially pick certain things to look for in this game today. And I always like looking at stats like these in order to know which areas of the game to watch. It makes it more enjoyable for me to analyze. As far as matchups go, I would put Jusuf Nurkic on Scottie Barnes. He has not shot the 3-ball well this year, so Nurkic doesn't necessarily have to get out and guard the 3-point line against him. Barnes is averaging 15 points per game and almost 5 assists, but he's shooting 49% from 2 and 29% from 3. He will shoot him. He shoots a little over 3 attempts per game, but he's not somebody you have to worry about from behind the arc, so that's probably the best player for Jusuf Nurkic to guard. I would put Jeremy Grant on Pascal Siakam, and then you can put Josh Hart on OG Anunoby. Dame and Ant can guard Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet. It would be kind of cool to see a Gary Trent Jr. versus Anthony Simons matchup if both those guys actually guard each other, because obviously they both came into the league as Portland Trailblazers in the same draft class. Keys to the game for the Blazers is to defend the 3-point line smartly. I add the smartly part because, as I said, this is not a good 3-point shooting team. You don't want to let the Raptors get going from 3, so you do still want to guard the arc, but you don't want to overextend on closeouts or chase guys off the line too hard, given that this isn't a good 3-point shooting team. The second key will be bench play. The Raptors don't have a good bench. If the Blazers bench can outplay an opposing team's bench for once, then it would go a long way to making it easier on the starters late in the game, considering how much they've struggled in the fourth quarter. Part of the key to winning that bench battle will be to crash the offensive glass. Drew Eubanks and Jabari Walker, I want to see them get at least a couple offensive rebounds apiece. And the final key to the game would be Figure out your offense late in the fourth quarter, if it's a close game especially, because it's been absolutely brutal. The Blazers have the worst fourth quarter offense in the last 10 games, and it's not even close. So fourth quarter offense is another key to the game for the Blazers. As far as BetOnline picks go, the Raptors are a 3-point favorite, and given how the Blazers have played the past couple of games, I don't have trust in them winning a close game, and I think this game will be close down the stretch, so I actually gotta take Toronto running away with it late, because that's been the pattern we've seen, unfortunately, from this Portland Trail Blazers team. The over-under is 225. Given that the Blazers' defense has been much better than their offense lately, and the Raptors struggle to make three-point shots, I'm going to take the under on that number. And as far as a parlay pick goes, I'm going to take Pascal Siakam to have 35 points, 9 total rebounds, and for the Toronto Raptors to win, you can get plus 1,100 odds on that, meaning you would make $1,100 on a $100 bet. Of course, if you want a different parlay, check out BetOnline. Use that promo code BELIEVE to receive 50% rewards. You can also make a pick on that spread, on that over-under. You can bet live during the game, so if it's a close game late, you can bet on the Raptors winning by like 20 because the Blazers can't score in the final 6 to 7 minutes of games. Anyway, bet responsibly. Check out our friends at BetOnline. Anyway, that's a wrap for this game preview. We'll catch you on the post-game show later today. Enjoy the game. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.